Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. Let me go. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow.
A pleasant good morning to all my viewers. I want to encourage you this morning to share the live, tune in and share the live as we will continue to discuss serious matters this morning. So again, just share the live. Good morning. Keep sharing the live. I'll take a short break and return as we continue to deliberate. And like I said, share the live, encourage persons to join. I look forward to see your comments. So take a short break.
Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. Let me go. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow.
Yes, and welcome back. A pleasant good morning. Nice to have you. Miss Merle, nice to have you, Mr. Stanton, Miss Joseph. Hi, MP Singh. Nice to have you this morning on our show. Just share the live and encourage others to join this morning as we continue to talk and I continue to share information with you, which is very, very important for us to continue working together. Wow. So share the live, all of our overseas friends and relatives and supporters. A pleasant good morning to all of you. A pleasant good morning to those who are here. Just share the live and encourage others to join as we continue to deliberate and talk about matters that are really, really, really important for us. This morning, I know that we have witnessed recently that we had two petitions at the court morning, and a lot of persons were looking forward to see what will happen. And of course, we see that one of the petition 88, will continue, and we had petition 99 with all the evidence throughout. And as I would have been interacting with residents and persons around, they've shared so many thoughts, so many things they had to say. But I want to start by sharing this morning a nice thought, the best way to keep up your spirits. Never forget what a treasure you are. Try to realize how important you are in the eyes of the world. We're all important. No matter where you go, hopes and hearts travel beside you every step of the way. There's someone always there to cheer you up. Even though difficulties come to everyone, it isn't fair when they hang around longer than they should, but until a new day comes along. Trust that you'll always be strong enough to see things through. I trust this morning that we will have the strength to see things through. Remember how much strength and courage you have inside. You can find all the patience it takes. You can turn to the times in the past when challenges were met, when you survived, when you were rewarded, even with success, and when you learn to believe in so much within you. You have so much going for you. You're going to see your way through anything that comes along. Brighter days are going to find a way to shine in your windows and chase away or any blues, because no one deserves more smiles, success, friendship, or love than you. And again, a pleasant good morning to you. Let's keep our spirits up. We, the coalition, has not given up. We will pursue every opportunity. Of course, we will appeal the petition that was thrown out, and we will keep fighting. But you, our supporters, our viewers, those that really think about the interests of our country and moving us forward, do not lose heart. Our history would have shown what has happened. I always say to people, I'm very proud to be who I am, because when I think of my ancestors and the strength they've shown, regardless of all that they've gone through, the lynching and all the different things that were not so nice and favorable, they were able to come through, and that's why you and I can be here and still enjoy life. So we must keep fighting, we must keep pushing, we must keep persevering, regardless of whatever negativity is out there or how it may seem that, things have gone down or things are not going right. We have to maintain a positive attitude. And that's what I want to say to you this morning. Maintain a positive attitude and let us keep fighting for what is right. We know what's going on. We know what has happened with our elections and all the things that were uncovered that were not right. And just for this current administration to be in office. But we should not lose heart. Let us continue to fight. We will continue to do our part. You are expected also to do your part as we continue to strive to achieve the ultimate goal of having the coalition back into office, where all Guyanese can feel comfortable, where all Guyanese can enjoy living. So pleasant good morning to all those who've joined us. Yes, it's always a privilege to see you. I also want to talk a little about the sports, which I would have addressed last week. And we as a coalition will continue to call for autonomy of our sports association and federation in Guyana. And we do not wish to see the government or the administration taking ministerial controls and doing all manner of things that is not appropriate, that's not right for sports development in this country. And so we need to keep speaking out. We need to keep making our voices heard on this matter, because it's not something people in sports will take lightly or should take lightly, because it can affect so much that has happened. I recall during this week, I read a comment where someone says, like, cricket will now die with this new administration after people will spend years, time, investing their time, their energy, their vision, their effort into moving and advancing sports to a different level. And then to see an administration just come, turn up, and want to do their own thing to disband and create havoc for the work and all the time persons would have invested in sports. We see that, people don't understand when you're fully involved in sports, how much time it takes away from your family, how much sacrifice you make just to be there to push and advance that particular cause. So this morning we continue to call for autonomy of our sports associations and federation in this country. We do not wish to see unnecessary interference in these matters, since it can affect generally sports in Guyana. This morning also, I want to remind my viewers, share the live, that COVID-19 is still a serious issue. And again, please practice your basics of sanitizing. Try to avoid going out unnecessarily. Try to practice your social distancing or wearing your mask. These are just some of the basic things we can do. I know I was troubled when I recognized that there was a new strain detected in Trinidad, and that is troubling because we know how Caribbean people move from place to place generally, especially in Guyana, where people can come and go at free will right now with COVID. And so we have to be very cautious. We have to keep praying. We have to keep practicing the right thing to ensure that we protect ourselves and our families. We see the challenges I would have shared during the week if you've been following my page, where children have been positive at other schools. And so we really need to be taking care of our children. We really need to practice wisdom when we're sending our children out. I've been observing the children when they come out of school, they would usually take off the mask. They're still gathering together in their little cliques. And some of them, there was 6 of them under a small umbrella, no mask, and they're just talking and laughing as though, everything is all right. And so even though you might prepare them to go out to school, we have to continue to do reinforcement, reminding our children that this is serious time. They need to practice the right thing. They need to practice their social distancing. Yes, we know they miss their friends and they would want to be talking to their friends, but we also have to use wisdom in this particular situation as we continue to strive. Not forgetting our next issue, national issue, is the justice for the Henry boys and Harris Singh that were murdered in Berbice. And we continue to call for justice. We continue to call for good sense to prevail. I know recently we would have seen some actions taking place at the court. When I saw what Comrade Ali would have said, how he was congratulating the police for a job well done, I said to myself, okay, maybe they're having more information than you and I do. When all this congratulatory message has gone out, because they would have solved the murder. But let us continue to be vigilant. Don't let us be fooled. Don't let us be carried away by the things we see. But we have to, as a people, keep in tune, keep reminding people that we're paying attention and let them know exactly what is happening. You cannot sit idly by and fold your hand and say that's over. It's not over. It's not over until it is over. And so we have to continue calling for justice. We have to continue praying for those families, because I could only imagine the difficulty they will continue to have psychologically and all the things that are happening. We need to keep them in our prayers, and we need to be steadfast as a nation when it comes to this issue. We'd like to see justice for the Henry boys this morning. And so we continue to call for that. I also would like to highlight this morning, there was an article published, I think it was Sunday, the 17th of January, where it had a caption, PNC should consider the harm it has done to Black people. And the author who would have written that, I would like to say this morning, we know our history. We are aware of the things we would have done. The PNCR would have fought for independence of Guyana. The PNCR would not have used racism and violence to stop freedom of people moving. And we have not sided with criminals and all these things that the author intends to highlight. But what I know, we have seen all that has been happening around us. I am where I am today because of what I've seen done to my community. The marginalization of African communities under a PPP-led administration for 23 years. We have seen that, we cannot forget our history. We have seen how many of our African brothers were killed and no answers to this day under a PPP-led administration. And so if the author of this article felt that persons would have forgotten their history, no, we have not forgotten our history. And we must always remind the PPP of what they have done to our people and continue to do. Even under this current fraudulent administration, we continue to see the marginalization and ethnic cleansing of ministries going on where they're firing people, moving people left, right, and center. Only this morning, I was in a conversation with a medical worker, and they were explaining what are some of the challenges being faced with them being moved left, right, and center. And nobody's giving care or thought about those who have the families and all of that. And we know that Region 4 is the most populated region in terms of the population of this country. And so we need to have our medical workers here readily available for assistance and to serve the people. But in this very sector, we have an issue because you're seeing how many persons are practicing racial division in service to our people. And so these are things that we have currently going on, and we know that they are fueled by the current administration. So do ethnic cleansing of the workplaces and persons who are educated, and they're going with this tit for tat nonsense that they continue to portray, and it continues to affect the lives of our people. We call this morning for justice. We call for this ethnic cleansing and all of that to stop. But calling for it is not just enough. The persons who are affected need to let their voices be heard. We know that the PPP like the whole tactic of dividing and rule. So they get a set, pull them one side and let them feel that they're important. And then they have the other set there where they're suffering a whole lot. Just a whole lot of people are struggling and going through difficulties to deal and to deal with them. And so persons are somewhat becoming fearful. They don't want to speak out. But if you don't speak out, if you don't make your issue known, if you don't let people be aware of what are the challenges you are facing in your workplaces, the challenges you're being faced with, anything that you're dealing with currently that seeks to marginalize and deprive you from doing what you ought to do best, then you have to let us know. You have to let us know. The parliamentarians are not everywhere every day, but if you reach out and you communicate with us, the opposition office is still working and providing service to the public. You have our phone numbers. You feel free to call. You have our email address. You can send us an email. There's so many ways you can reach out to let us know exactly what's happening. If you don't do that, we will not be made aware. And so we all have to lend our voices to ensure that justice is served in all areas and that the marginalization and all of these tactics currently administered to people of Guyana, that it be stopped, especially the Africans in this country. It's very, very sad to see. As you know, I'm a person who likes to walk. So I have been moving around in the communities. As you know, my area of responsibility is the East Bank. And so I continue to move around in all of the communities. And there's some certain things that continue to shout out and stand out to me. Some of these NDCs, they only serve part of the area they're responsible for. And they're serving the parts that they presume are supportive of the current administration, the PPP administration. The other part of the communities where they assume they're supporting APNU, AFC, no work, no service is offered to the people. They hardly go into the areas to even clean the drains and all of that. And these are some of the challenges we're having. So this morning, I want to talk a little more on the importance of you, residents, being involved at the community level, at the NDC level, to make things happen for you. I want to highlight that the NDC ought to be representing the interests of the people in the area that they serve. There are different constituencies, and so the councillors and so forth supposed to be moving around in the community, see what's happening, engaging residents, talking with them, making recommendations at their meetings to talk about these things. It should be inclusive. Whatever service is offered, it should be inclusive. It means, therefore, that every person, every resident in that particular area, the need must be considered. So like I went to one community and observed a street. Half of the street is occupied by Indo-Guyanese or East Indians. And the second half of the street is occupied by the Africans. And the amazing thing is that the street was done, but it was only done halfway. So the half where the Easterners are living, that is smooth. It is easily accessible for the residents. They can drive around. The other half of the street, where the Africans are living, it's potholes. The drains look like they've never been cleaned in years. And so the persons are there. When you speak and you interact with the residents and you listen to them, they're telling you, oh, the council came here about 5 years ago. Um, Nobody never came around here. When I visit communities, you hear comments like people say they've never seen a member of parliament come into their area or anybody, even to the council that is supposed to be serving their area. The councillors or nobody ever comes around to find out, check up to see what's happening. And this is something that is troubling because if that's the way we go serve the people in our constituents, obviously it will bring problems. If you're cleaning half of a drain, it means that when rain falls, the half that is not clean, yes, that will fill up first with the water, and the other half will eventually fill. But everybody in the end will be affected by the flood. So when we're offering services to the people, it ought to be fair, it ought to be inclusive, and most importantly, it must be effective. You cannot just clean or do a part of a road because it is what? That is something persons need to pay attention to. I can tell you I've attended 4 NDC meetings thus far. And one meeting I saw 2 residents. Of course, there was no accommodation for persons in the community. At one meeting, I saw 1 resident. The other, I didn't see any. And you find that the meeting is going on. The residents are not in a position to hear, to comprehend, to understand exactly what is being discussed. And imagine they're talking about issues that will affect the said residents. NDC meetings, persons, residents are allowed to attend. When I was interacting with some residents in her setting, they were telling me they weren't aware that they could have actually gone to the meeting and sit in and all of that. Yes. However, when you get there, you can't go and just talk loosely. It's a procedure. They have to suspend their standing order and all of that to entertain you if you have concerns that you would like to share. But it is important that if you're having a council that is representing you, that you make yourselves available to be at the meeting. Everyone in the community does not have to attend the meeting. But if you're living on Street X, you can have 1 representative each month, somebody from the street attend that meeting to hear, okay, what they've discussed about your street, what they plan to do, what they don't plan to do. And so you can feed information and you're not just waiting for the council or the councillors to come and tell you this is what will be done. You ought to be au fait with what is happening in your community. I think that is the problem we have with persons. They just sit and wait to see when things will happen. You don't need to sit and wait for things to happen. You have an elected group that is there. When they want to be elected, they campaign, they walk around, they promise. But you have an elected group and you have to keep them accountable by attending the meetings, by sitting in, by paying attention to what is happening in your community. In my community, I know what is happening because I pay attention to what is happening. I find out what is happening. Currently, there's a road being done on Sideline Dam. That area was my constituency when I used to sit on the council. I knew what is the plan and the vision for that constituency of having all our drains clean. We want to have good roads. We want people to be able to access their property properly and all of that. Now, I'm not sitting on the council now, but my responsibility as a resident is to still find out what is going on. So I saw some activities and I made it my duty to find out exactly what is going on. Those are work that we would have presented to be done. It wasn't done under the coalition because of the no confidence motion that was passed. It would have stymied the work that is going on. And because of that, we're now seeing some of these very projects being implemented. Hats off the coalition and vision. So we're happy to see the projects are being implemented. However, in my case, I was expecting the entire road to be completed, but I saw only part of the road is being done. I'm still investigating that. How many persons actually get up to go out and find out what is happening. The NDC will do projects based on their income, their projected income in rates and taxes, and whatever other services they're offering to the community, be it market service, be it the garbage collection and so forth, where they're having little income coming in, rental of machinery and all of that. Those are the things that will bring the money into the local body. And then they'll be able to do small projects in the community, be it clean a drain, patch a hole, or something like that. Those are things that the NDC might be able to do with the little that they will have. Now, if you don't pay up, obviously they will not be able to implement some of the projected plans they would have put forward, because persons may not be paying the rates and tax, persons may not be using the service. So the NDC would be limited to execute work. However, we have the regional body. The regional body is able to do a project or two in communities depending on needs. And that has to be, again, presented by your NDC, your local body, where you have the chairman and the councillors. They will have to present this information to the regional body. If the region is not capable of doing it, capital projects goes to the government. The government is supposed to provide services for the residents. Health services, the government ought to provide. Infrastructural work, roads, drains, and all these things, the big canals and so in your community, it's the government responsibility to do so. So it's not because they're doing a road or a street, it means that you got to take your vote and give them. Because when you give the wrong people your vote, we end up with what we have happening now. People being marginalized, people being deprived, people be suffering because of the wrong people being in place. So you do not let doing a road or doing a drain be the determining factor for you to cast your vote, because your vote is very important. You look at the right things. These are services that must be provided by the government. Your main roads, your main drains, and all these things, the big projects in your community ought to be done by the state. They ought to be done. And that is something that people need to understand. The NDC will do small projects because of the finances they have. We know that also the NDC usually gets a grant from the government for a particular project they may have identified in the community. I don't know if it's increased for this year, but I know the grant that you usually receive, subvention grant, was $5 million. And you identify a project to be done. However, we recognize that for the last subvention project, the minister, after the NDCs would have provided all the details of what they would have wanted to see done in their community, decided that that money will be split into lights, and some lights that selling cheap but being valued at 35,000. Most communities probably receiving 28 lights. So all the extra money, we don't know what's happening with it, but the community is currently being deprived of spending the last subvention money because the minister that comes in, the fraudulent minister, has decided that the money must be split. Now, why would the NDC would have gone through the pain of interacting with the community, walking around, identifying the needs and all of that, and identifying a project to be done. And then a minister just come from nowhere and decide that this is what will happen with the money. That right away hinders the progress of a community. The responsibility of the NDCs are to identify the needs, help in identifying the needs of the community. No minister and all these people be on the ground. They don't live in the communities. The communities that they're living in, they will ensure that their area is fixed. But the regular persons who live day to day in the community, who walk around, the persons who interact, are the persons who are the best people to represent and put forward information needed for the development of a community. And so this morning, I want to encourage my viewers to pass the word out. Let them know that the MP Flue-Bess is reminding them that they have a responsibility to keep their elected bodies at the local level responsible for ensuring that works are being done in the community. They also have a civic responsibility to pay their taxes and to ensure that the NDCs can provide the services needed to assist you the residents in making your lives better. There are persons who say waiting maybe for the NDCs to come and dig the internal drain. That should not be happening. You got to clean your internal drains where your wastewater and so forth go in. You should keep that clean. You should ensure that your carpets where you're driving and walking and traversing, you maintain that. As a little girl growing up, I saw that happening. And so I don't know why is it that now some persons feel that they shouldn't clean the carpets, they shouldn't clean the internal drains, and when they're having floods, they want to blame the body responsible for managing the affairs of the community. You have your part to play. You have your little parts to play to ensure that your community is developed. You know, in our community, the flooding that was taking place because of a blocked drain, I'm not sure it has been cleared as yet. Based on my last update, it wasn't cleared, the Junior Canal, because of this road extension that they're doing to Diamond. It's very good, but look at the cost of it. You're having a road extension, you block the main drain and do a diversion drain. You block the main canal and do a diversion drain. And farmers are living in that community. And so the farmers, they're crying because of the excessive water on the land. They've lost a lot. I visited the farms. You see cassava, you see plantain, you see cash crops and all these things affected. Livestock and everything. And then you want to say you're doing such a great job for the community by bringing a few seeds, a few plants, give the farmers who would have spent months preparing the land, sowing, ensuring that they have the crops so that they can reap, they can sow and all of that and make monies from it. And then you come in 1 week, 2 weeks, destroy everything that they would have worked months to ensure that you have food and you can sell and that you can get back your income. And then you come and give me 2 little piglets, couple plants, and tell me that you're investing, you're helping. I think when I look at these practices, it reminds me so much that instead of our people being empowered, they want us to have this dependency syndrome. You're leaning and waiting. And so you're not able to earn, you're not able to gather the things you need to keep your families together. My viewers, this morning, I want to remind you that we have a responsibility to work collectively. Each and every one of us have our part to play. It's not one person. Each of us have a part to play. We need to see things happening for us. We don't need to be dependent on waiting for things to happen to us. But whatever we can do to make our lives better, we better get going and get it done. We see what is happening. As we continue to fight, as we continue to press, as we continue to persevere, we have the petitions in the court, we're appealing them, we're doing our part. You have your part to play. Be informed, be involved, and do as much as you can to keep your family safe, your community safe, to work on your development. Do not be fooled, do not be taken away by the fact that somebody come and they do the road and all of these things. There are a lot into it. It doesn't happen like that. These ideas, these plans, these projects and so forth comes from in the community. And then they're implemented as a role of the government. And that is very, very important. In closing this morning, I want to remind residents, my last check yesterday, I saw the COVID team that was distributing the grant in her stelling. And based on some information I received this morning, you're supposed to be somewhere near to Mocha. Let's see, Mocha folks, if you're home, be alert, call up your neighbor, let them know, let us start looking out so that persons can know what's happening. And look out to see if you will get your COVID grant. I want to say a special good morning to all of the residents at Luluni. I will share some information with Luluni about Luluni later in the week, some of the work they've been doing and how they've been working collectively. This morning, I want to tell you, let us continue working together. Stay focused and remember our goal is to return, the coalition must return to office. Do enjoy your day and I'll see you around. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all of you. Nice to have all.
Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla Holla the blow, blow, blow the man. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow, blow. Holla the blow, blow. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a grand time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tonight. All night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight. All night tomorrow night.